Do y'all remember this story? Yeah. The mother in Oklahoma that started a GoFundMe for her 14-year-old son because he ended up being abused while in foster care. Now, apparently the mom called DHS or CPS to have the child removed from the home because he had become very disrespectful and started damaging her property to the point where she started to fear for her safety as well as his siblings' safety. Well, apparently while in foster care, he was abused. He got beat up. So yeah, if you haven't seen that video, it's on my channel. You can check it out. But based off of that video and the reaction that I've been seeing in the comments from others that have done the story about this case, I want to slow this conversation down a bit because a lot of people are bashing her and saying she should have did this, she should have did that, without even acknowledging or considering the fear that she must have been sitting in and actually living in for real. I mean, because when you scared for your life and then the life of your other children, it's a lot of things you would do in theory, but when you're afraid, you become less logical and start moving in survival mode. And I believe that's where that decision came from. I feel like at the end of the day, people are saying, he needs to get help or she should have got him evaluated. But they're not taking into account what that comes with. That's under the assumption that she has the resources and or the availability, because mind you, she has other children as well. So in order to get him even an evaluation, she has to take time off work, get an appointment, however long that goes. Because remember, with behavioral health, I don't care what state you're in, you're going to be on a wait list. Unless you get a medical recommendation. And that's not, even with that, you're still going to be on some type of, it's very rarely same day. However, I do understand that there are extenuating circumstances, but from my experience, it's always been a waiting list. But with that said, you have to take into account, the waiting period, and then if she does get an appointment in a timely fashion, she has to account for her other children, making sure that they are cared for while she's at the appointment with this child. It's so many factors that go into the whole get him evaluated, get him tested, get him therapy theory. Like, that is all fine and dandy. Absolutely. However, that's not always the case. And when you're in a situation where you become fearful for your safety, and not only just your safety, but the safety of the other kids that you have, oh yeah, you're in fight or flight. You are in survival mode, and you're going to take whatever precautions you need to protect you and the ones that you can. And so, I just don't think people understand that, what that entails when they say get help. Because when these people are saying get help, they don't explain how these families are supposed to stay safe while they're waiting to get help. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we have so many barriers set up, like the wait list, the accommodations for the other children, on top of perhaps insurance barriers or out-of-pocket expenses, or some people, especially in specific communities, have fear of even getting, the medical, mental health side involved in their families. Like, it's so many factors that go into that get help. So again, while it all sounds good in theory, I don't think people are taking that part into consideration. Because we have to stop acting like parents instinctively know which system to navigate in crisis. Especially when these so-called systems, they don't communicate. I'm sure she got calls from the teachers, telling her about his behavior in school. And, maybe recommendations were to get him removed or to get him evaluated. I'm not sure. But I'm positive that if he displayed that behavior at home, I'm pretty positive he displayed that behavior at school. And, like I said, maybe the school suggested calling DHS or CPS. And when you have people with degrees and authority telling you something over and over again, regardless of what your gut is telling you or regardless of what you want to do as that child's mother, you start trusting their direction more than your own gut or more than your own personal feelings, because at that point you're overwhelmed. And again, you're in survival mode. You're looking at these people as authorities because they are trained for these type of situations. They go to school and are trained to handle kids with this type of situation. And so you look at them, as the authority on this matter because, again, they are trained to do that. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think that means that she's a careless mother. I think she was just somebody who ran out of options. And in this instance, she probably just followed the loudest professional, quote unquote, voice in the room. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the outcome was right, but I definitely believe that this conversation deserves more empathy than judgment. Because when parents are scared and professionals are pointing them in one direction, I'm telling you, your instincts do not always stand a chance. I'm telling you. Because you're in fight or flight. You're in survival. You have a teenage child, a boy child, who is demonstrating physical threat to not only you, but his siblings who are younger than him. And you want her to get him evaluated, take him to see a behavioral therapist. But what does she do in the meantime when she's waiting for an appointment? Because fear cannot be put on pause. The threat cannot be put on pause. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, at the end of the day, she, as well as her other kids, was in a dangerous situation. You have month-long wait lists sometimes because there's a pediatric mental health shortage, but that's a whole nother subject for a different day. So again, what do you do while you're waiting? Because again, you cannot pause his behavior, nor can you pause the fear of his behavior. So what was she supposed to do? Again, I'm not saying the outcome was the best. I'm just saying that she probably ran out of options and she just followed her first instinct. Now, if you were in her position, scared, you have other kids you have to worry about, stuck on a wait list, would you honestly know what to do in that situation? Do you know of another door that would have been better for you to knock on? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you have not checked out the video that I'm referring to, I'm going to leave the link so you can check that out also. So, with that said, I want to thank y'all so much for stopping by Trees Talks. If you like this video and want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. And of course, leave your comments down below, share, and as always, until the next time, y'all be safe.